I wish to compliment the Indian Industries Association and my friend Mr. Mansoor Lari for taking the initiative to connect the small, medium and micro entrepreneurs of Noida to this magical world of Latin America. I call Latin America as magical because when you businessman, when you travel to Latin America on business, and when you come back not only with orders and contracts, but you come back happier and younger. Well, you could see Mr. Mansoor Lari after his last visit to Brazil and Argentina. He looks 10 years younger now. When I was in Brazil in 1997, there was a small exporter of hand tools came to Sao Paulo. His name was Jasbir Singh from Jalandhar. He came to the consulate and requested for our help with some interpretation. We had a panel of interpreters. So we gave to him this panel of 4 people and said, you can interview, you can see the qualifications and your requirements, and you can choose. Normally the charges for interpretation vary from $50 to $100. So Jasbir Singh interviewed these 4 people. And among the 4, there was one who was a stunning Brazilian beauty. And Mr. Jasbir Singh could not take his eyes off her. So while he interviewed the other people, he asked all kinds of questions, clarifications. But when it came to this Brazilian beauty, he asked only one question. He asked with eagerness in his eyes, how much do you charge? She said, Senor, it is $100. But Jasbir Singh was so eager, so enthusiastic. So he said, with pleasure. Now, when she heard that, she responded, Senor, with pleasure, it is $200. Then there was this guy called Dylan. It's a small auto parts exporting company from Delhi. He came and met me in 2005 when I was in Delhi. And he was going to Latin America for the first time. So he asked me for my advice how to go about. He was going to Colombia and Uruguay. So I briefed him, advised him, and then told him, when you come back from the visit, come and tell me how did it go. He came back after 3 weeks. He came back with a smile all over his face and shining eyes. So I asked him, how did it go? He said, when he reached Bogota, he was received by a young, attractive Colombian from the client company. She took him to the hotel. He was staying there for 3 days. So the first 2 days, she took him out for sightseeing, to the clubs, to the restaurants, to the bars, and dancing clubs. But our Dylan, he was preoccupied with business. He said, let's talk about business. She said, don't worry, we'll talk about last day. Sure, the last day, they sat together and he got an order for about $40,000. But for him, the experience he got, the interaction he got with the Latino culture, it was worth more than $40,000. This is the magic of Latin America. In Latin America, the people are wonderful. They have a vibrant, fun-loving culture. They say, we don't stop having fun when we are old. We become old only when you stop having fun. There is a song by an Argentine pop singer called Axel Fernando. He has a song which says, celebra la vida, segundo a segundo, nada se guarda, todo se brinda. Means celebrate the life from second to second. Don't hold anything, give out everything. That is the Latin American way of enjoying life. When I went to Brazil for the first time in 1996, I had to give a talk in Portuguese. So I asked my Brazilian friend for advice. How do I talk to the Brazilian audience? He told me that your speech has to be like a mini skirt. He said, like a mini skirt, the speech has to be, it should be short enough to arouse interest and long enough to cover the area of interest. They have a different way of looking at things. Then in the first week of my arrival, my Brazilian friends invited me for golf. I said, I'm delighted. What time? They said, 11 o'clock in the night. I said, what? 11 o'clock in the night golf? They said, this is Latino golf. Then they explained, in normal golf, you use Wilson clubs, tailor-made clubs, Callaway clubs, but in Latino golf, you use night clubs. The way in Latin America happiness is defined is totally different from what we have in India. There is a Peruvian writer called Mario Vargas Llosa. He has written a book called Aunt Julia and the Script Writer, one of his famous works. In that, the story goes like this. There is a boy who is 16-year-old going to college. One day, his aunt, who is married to someone in Bolivia, she comes back as a widow because her husband died. The aunt is 40-year-old. When she comes back to the house where this boy is staying, the parents of this boy advise him, tell him, you see, the aunt is very sad, very depressed. Please give her company. Take her out to the theater, to the cinema, to the park. The boy doesn't like it. And then when he starts taking her out, and she treats him like a kid, and that worsens it. Anyway, since the parents are compelling him, he falls in love with the aunt. A 16-year-old boy falling in love with the 40-year-old aunt. So when he declares the love to the aunt says, don't be silly. You are a young boy. You are going to meet other girls of your age. So this is just only infatuation. This is going to pass. But the boy wouldn't let. He says, no, my love is eternal. And I want to marry you. Then she says, you want to marry me? 16-year-old boy marrying a 40-year-old woman is going to be tough. Your passion is not going to last. how many years you think your passion we will last? And how many years you think you and I will live happily? This adolescent boy doesn't think. He just says, 2 years. So the aunt says, 2 years is fantastic. 2 years of happiness living together is worth the life. Let's marry. They want to marry, but no priest would marry them because this boy is underage. So then they go to an interior part of the country and get a priest drunk, and he marries them. And when they come back home, the boy's parent, the father, is there with a gun saying that he will shoot them. So then they go out and live in another apartment, they live. When I read this story, I thought it is one of those fiction. Until later, I came to know that this was the real life story of this Maria Vargas Llosa, the author. It's in the western part. It's easier to go to Valparaiso, the port in Chile, than to come to Buenos Aires, which is longer distance. Similarly, in Brazil, in the western part of Brazil, where they grow a lot of soya, a place called Mato Grosso. From there, it's easier to go to the other side, the Pacific side, than coming. So rather, what is called interoceanic projects. In addition to what is going on in South America, there is a project in the northern part of Latin America, between Mexico and Central America. They have a large project to connect from Mexico to Panama and even up to Colombia, passing through the whole of Central America. Again, electricity grid, roads, railways, but money is not coming out so much. But this is the direction, this is the way in which they are going to integrate